Hey kiddos, Miss Wallace. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about these anchor charts that I had posted. The first one is about the planets, and then the second one is mostly focusing on the Earth. So, what we need to understand when we talk about our solar system, we know the sun is in the center of our solar system. And so, all of these planets are going to orbit, or another word is revolve. Okay, so I'm going to add that word over here. Well, let me grab my little box. So another word for orbit would be revolve. Okay, so if you think orbit, I also want you thinking to revolve. That means that we are moving around the sun kind of in a big loop. You need to understand the inner four planets are rocky planets, and the outer ones we call gas giants. Okay, so you see here we've got the inner four labeled rocky, the outer four labeled gas giants. And we know as of today that life is only found on Earth. Okay, they are looking for microscopic life on Mars. They've tried to find it on the moon, but so far, no such luck. Now, one thing I want to correct on this anchor chart is Pluto. Remember, he got kicked out of the club. So he is considered a dwarf planet, and that's mostly because of size and the revolution around the sun. Pluto's path actually crosses some of the orbits of these other planets, and that's uncharacteristic of a planet, and that's why he got demoted to a dwarf planet. So we're going to just focus on these 8, okay? One thing you need to understand are these in order from the sun. And so here is a little saying that helps you remember it. It's an acronym because each letter that we start with here is going to be the same letter that the planet starts with. And one thing I want you to notice is we have 2 planets that start with M, and these are easy to get mixed up. But if you notice, Mercury starts with an M. What does it end with? A Y. And so that's how you can always remember that Mercury is going to be the first planet closest to the sun, because the first word we start with is my, and then very educated mother just served us nachos. And so that's our little saying that you would write down, and this helps you to put the planets in order from the sun. So my is Mercury, very is Venus, educated is Earth, mother is Mars, just is Jupiter, served is Saturn, us is Uranus or Uranus, and then nachos is Neptune. You could also put noodles there or something like that. Feel free to come up with your own acronym that helps you to remember the order of these planets. But always remember the my for Mercury, because that'll help you to remember that Mercury is the first one. Okay, it won't lead you to get confused with those 2 M planets. Remember that Mars is the closest planet to Earth. That's why we are trying to get to Mars, possibly colonize it one day. We're still a long ways from that. But as far as distance goes, we know that Mars is the closest to Earth. So let me know if you have any questions about these. I'll be glad to answer them for you. So let's look a little bit more at Earth. We know we are the 3rd planet from the sun. We're in that the inner rocky 4 planets. Of those 4, we are the largest. Okay, so Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all smaller than Earth. We know we do have life on Earth, and that's mostly because we have liquid water here to support life. We know without water, we can't have life, animal life or plant life. So 70 to 75% of the surface of the Earth is covered in water. And so when astronauts actually go into space and they look back, they literally see a blue planet. Sure, they're going to see some of the land, but that's why Earth is called the blue planet, is because we're mostly covered in water. So remember these 2 terms. We've mentioned them before. These are crucial that you understand. So when we talk rotate, okay, another word that we could add here is spin. Spin. And so this means that the Earth is spinning around its little axis, okay? We know the Earth is going to be tilted on an axis, and we're going to talk more about that later this week when we start to really look at seasons on Earth. But Earth is spinning around, and as we spin, it takes about 24 hours. It's just shy of 24 hours for the Earth to spin around. And this is going to cause our day-night cycle. So if we were to draw a sun, and whichever side of the Earth is facing the sun, that's day. The back side would be dark, so we know that would be night. So keywords here, rotate and axis, are going to cause the day-night cycle. Okay, and it takes us that 24 hours to spin around. Then you have another term over here we mentioned earlier, revolve. You can also think orbit. Okay, so orbit is where we are actually moving in a loop around the sun. It takes 365.25. You can't forget that 0.25 because that's what leads us to have our leap year. So we add up this quarter 4 times, and that's why every 4 years we add in a day to the calendar, and we have February 29th. That gives us our leap year. And I think I had y'all work on Brain Pop today that kind of helped explain that concept. So we're revolving. It takes us a long time to make it one loop around the sun. It takes 1 year, right? So I'm 40 years old. So I've been 40 times around the sun, or I've made 40 trips around the sun. And so here's a little picture example. Here's your sun. We could say that this is a planet that's orbiting around. The orbit or the revolution of the Earth, along with the tilt of that axis, is going to cause our seasons. And like I said, we're going to talk more about that later this week to hopefully kind of clarify that concept for you. So if you have any questions about any of these, feel free to let me know. And I hope that y'all are enjoying your study of the sun, the moon, and the earth.